Alright, says I'm live. If you guys can hear me, please let me know and we will get this going. I see the chat's already pretty active, so that's always a good thing. Let's see. Pop the chat out. Maybe if it'll load, let me know if you guys can hear me or not. I'm still waiting for it to load. There we go. Okay. Once someone tells me they can hear me, then I'll be good to go. Gotcha. Awesome. All right. Let's see. Who's all in here? Sincere was the first one here. Says, done your time to cheer, throw a beer. For sure. Just hoping our guys don't wreck and then we can cheer. What's up? Good morning, Don. Morning, Sean. Glad you're in here. What's up, Natalie? Good morning. Good morning, Andre. What is up, everybody? What's up, Wyatt? What's up, Terry? I'm going to mute my Discord notifications for a second because it's... Okay, there we go. What's up, everybody? What's up, Duke? Glad you're in here. Got you, Wyatt, Johnny, Jimmy, Andre, Eric. Lisa's in here. Good morning. All right, so yeah, just drop your questions and we'll pretty much go from there. I said everything I wanted to say in the preview video. It was like an hour long, so I am just here to chat it up, have a good time, and answer some questions for the most part. All right, so Aaron says, hey Chris, do you feel like Harvick will just be a top 5 guy today but not lead any laps? I'm a little bit indifferent on that. I do think Harvick is going to be a potential dominator. We've just seen it too many times at Atlanta for me to just write him off here, even though he's had a slower start to the season dominator-wise. Like, he's picking up good finishes, but he's not dominating, and that's what you need at his price point. The thing is, Atlanta is just a track that suits him very well. He knows how to grip the bottom, and the cooler temperatures today, it's not like it's going to be hot right in the middle of summer, so I think the cooler temperatures will help him out a bit, and I would not be surprised if this is Harvick's first dominator performance of this season. I'm going to have a decent amount of exposure to Kevin Harvick. I kind of faded him last week at Phoenix, but I'm not thinking that's the right strategy this week. I think Harvick should be a dominator today, but not fade him. What's up, Brian? D-Roll says, morning, Chris. Let's get this bread. Yeah, for sure. Let's get that bread. Andre says, hit the like button. I totally agree. Make sure you hit that like button. Let's see. Where are we at? So Sean says, Suarez, Cole Custer, Eric Jones, or Newman for PPR. Pick 2. PPR. Is that a football question? The 2 I'd pick there would be more than likely Cole Custer and Ryan Newman. I know Cole Custer has killed us the past few weeks now, but he's been running good. He just happens to keep wrecking. Wyatt says he's good with Newman. I totally agree. I think Newman's a pretty good play today. He's shown that he's been able to manage his tires well at these types of tracks, so would not be surprised if Ryan Newman's a top 15 contender. And I feel like he's a bit too cheap at $7,100, so I do like him quite a bit today. Natalie says, like Stenhouse and Priest, but nervous. Any thoughts? I like Stenhouse and Priest today. I like the price on Stenhouse mainly. I know he's starting close to the front, but similar to last week, I know he's not as cheap as he was last week, but he's still cheap enough where he's a top 15 guy. And he's been running pretty well this season, which is, why he's starting so far to the front. So if Stenhouse can be a top 15 guy today, even if he does lose a couple of spots, that's not the worst thing in the world. And looking at his numbers at Atlanta, they're actually not that bad. He does have an average running position inside the top 15, 5 top 20s, 3 top 15s, and he finished 13th here last year. So I actually think Stenhouse is a pretty good choice. Great playing Stenhouse, but FC all above Blaney. Yeah, that's kind of my thought process today. All the dominators are Blaney and above. You could throw William Byron in there because he was a dominator at Homestead earlier this season. So if you want to include Byron in that, you can. I don't think it's likely that he's going to be a dominator today, but I would not even hate putting in Bowman in above or Blaney in above. I think both strategies are fine. Austin says, okay to go Larson, Truex with 4 place differential guys in single entry. Yeah, that's totally fine. Those are my 2 favorite dominators today, Truex and Kyle Larson. The thing is, what do we think Denny Hamlin's going to do? Because if Denny Hamlin leads the laps early on and Truex does not, I think we're assuming Kyle Larson gets there at some point. So that's the only tricky thing with Martin Truex Jr. But I do like Truex over Hamlin today. I would not be surprised if Hamlin leads the first 25, but I still like Truex overall over Hamlin. Plus, he's a little bit cheaper as well, and you get one spot place differential as well. Wyatt says, I know you don't have a crystal ball. I wish I did. I wish I had a crystal ball. But how do you think Kyle Busch does? Any laps later, just the top 10 finish? I don't really think Kyle Busch is going to lead laps today. I think he can pick up fast laps. And I think he can be a top 5 guy. Last year, without practice or anything, we saw Kyle Busch running inside the top 5, and I believe he finished second in that race. So I don't think Kyle Busch being a potential dominator is out of the question. The thing is, just starting so far back, it's going to be hard for him to get past guys like Kyle Larson, Keselowski, Hamlin, Elliott, Truex. So I do have concerns with that, but the place differential upside kind of offsets that a bit. So if you want to use guys like that are cheaper, like Truex, Chase, Elliott, that's actually not eating up a bunch of salary, and you can throw in Kyle Busch for the place differential upside with some small dominator potential as well, and I wouldn't hate that strategy. Let's see. John says, in large field GPPs, can you fade Harvick and MTJ and live in the 9K range and feel good with your lineup? For sure. I'm not going to have, like, when I have 150 lineups today, I'm not going to have I'm not going to have, like, Kevin Harvick or Kyle Larson and every single one, Martin Truex Jr. in all of those lineups today. I'm going to have a decent amount of lineups to all these 9K guys because you can really make that work today. You can make a Blaney, Logano, Truex, and Elliott lineup work today. It's crazy. You can have 4 dominators, and it's not that hard. I've personally never found it this easy to play dominators before. When I'm looking at my lineups that my projections build, I mean, we got 4 dominator lineups, and they don't even look that bad because we don't have to dig into that Timmy Hill, Balicki, Quinn Houff range. It's just sitting in that Anthony Alfredo, Corey LaJoie range. So, I mean, I don't hate living in that 9K range for sure. Kurt says 2 or 3 dom for cash. It's just personal preference. You could actually make a 4 dom work for cash. Not sure I'd go that way because we're probably not going to have 4 dominators. We're probably going to have 2 with maybe a minor dominator or 2. So it could work out if you absolutely nail those dominators. But it's definitely a riskier strategy, so I'd reserve that for tournaments. But in cash games, I wouldn't hate getting 2 doms plus Cindric. Or you could go with 3 doms plus Cindric and make that work as well. But that definitely wouldn't stretch it to 4 in cash. But as long as you can fit in 2 doms and Cindric, that's the way I'd go in cash. If you can fit another dominator in there, great. If not, and go down to a guy like Reddick, I think that's a fine strategy as well. Dude says, Truex speed noticeably declined as it got cold yesterday. Can we expect the same today? Well, it's hard to tell because it's Xfinity Series and they run different packages, different, stuff like that. So I wouldn't put too much stock into that. But I believe his car was better when it was hotter last year, if I remember correctly. It was in the summer, though, when they ran that race. Chris Austin says I got an ad in a live stream. Never seen that before. Sorry, man. Can't control those. Sean says, yeah, I messed up early, Chris. Oh, you're good, Sean. Andre says, same, Chris. I forget what I said, but I'm glad you agree. D-Roll says 6,100 left. More comfortable with Chris Buescher or Michael McDowell. Definitely Chris Buescher. Michael McDowell's numbers at Atlanta aren't that great. But Chris Buescher, I mean, he's been having a solid start to the season. He's only $6,000. I know he's starting one spot further up than Michael McDowell, but I think, like, more times than not, Chris Buescher will finish ahead of Michael McDowell most races. Chris says, did we just die or is it on my end? Yeah, I think my computer froze for a second, but I think we're good. I don't know what happened. Jimmy says, yeah. So your guys' stream messed up as well? Yeah, mine was weird. I don't know what happened either. Travis says, would you consider Ross Chastain? I like that name. That's the first time I ever heard that. Yeah, I like Ross Chastain today. I think he's a pretty good play. I like that price point at $6,800. Starting 24th, we know he's in a pretty good car. Yeah, I think it definitely makes sense to like him today. 4,200. I'm sorry, I said 6,800. He's 6,600 starting in 21st. I was looking at Chase Briscoe, but we know Kyle Larson put up good numbers in that 42 car last time Larson was here. He led over 140 laps. Not saying that's what Ross Chastain's going to do, but he certainly has top 15 upside at a really nice price point. Ryan says, I'm going to the race today. You're going, Ryan? Awesome. I know you just moved to Georgia, so that's pretty cool. Hope you enjoy. Deshaun says, you like Bowman? I do like Bowman today. I know the price is a little bit steep at $8,800, but looking at the recent high tower tracks for him, he's actually been one of the best drivers at those. In the last races we've had at Auto Club and Chicagoland, I know there's no longer on the schedule, but he dominated and won both of those races. So I don't know if you guys can hear those birds. Sound like they're having a fight outside my window. John says, hello, Travis. And nope. John says, Chris, is their YouTube game this week? Yeah, always is done. I think there's like 15, 20 spots left. So if you want in, Just make sure you comment your DK username on my recent video, and I'll send you an invite after the live stream. Johnny says Alfredo or LaJoy, better GPP. Thank you. I think the masses are going to be on Anthony Alfredo, so if you're strictly worried about ownership, Corey LaJoy would be the pivot there. I personally like Alfredo more, but again, if you're looking in tournaments and you want a lower owned option, LaJoy should be the lower one of those two. Paper says Lego. Yeah, Paper had a monster week last week. He took down the lug nut contest, and he had a couple lineups in the top 10 as well. So yeah, he had a really good week last week. Juliana here, my girlfriend is here, so appreciate you stopping by, and good morning as well. Hunter says the girlfriend is here. Sure is. Garrett says, Chris, who wins the race? My personal preference of who's going to win the race today is Kyle Larson or Martin Truex Jr. I'm going to side with Kyle Larson because at the 1.5 mile tracks this year, he's been the best driver. He's got the best drive rating. I believe he's like first or second in most categories, so definitely big on Kyle Larson today. That 5 car just has a ton of speed so far, and it looks like the championship favorite right now. It's the way he's been racing. Jet says, hey Chris, for GPP, what percentage of 2 dom, 3 dom, and 4 dom would you recommend? 4 dom would have LaJoy and Alfredo. I'm not sure my exact exposures on what the difference is on those lineups today, but as long as I'm having at least 2, I think your optimizer should probably give you a decent portion of each having 2 to 3 or 4 dom. I don't think the 4 dom lineup's going to be like overabundant in there because it is pushing it a bit, and you can only use so many Corey LaJoy and Anthony Alfredo lineups together. But for the most part, I'd be living in that 2 to 3 range, and I'll have a little bit of 4 doms just to see if anything crazy happens today. If you can nail those 2 major dominators and the 2 minor dominators. Sean says, any pump play below $5,100 you would use, Chris? Trying for 3 dominators below $5,100. I would really not want to do that. I mean, maybe Balicki starting 37th, but I don't really see need to go that low this week because the pricing for the dominators is overall really soft. So I don't think you have to go below Corey LaJoy this week, personally. Because to make 3 dominators work, even in a 4 dominator lineup, I didn't even have to go below Corey LaJoy. So unless you're making like a Harvick, Busch, Larson lineup, maybe you'd have to go that low. But even then, I don't think you're going to have to this week. Deshaun says stack the Hendrick cars. Yeah, I've been on Hendrick all year long, and they've shown a ton of speed. You can easily play Chase Elliott, William Byron, Alex Bowman today. Definitely no problem. And Kyle Larson. I don't think I mentioned Kyle Larson there. But yeah, you can make that work. Kemper says, what's your favorite 3 dominators for a large GPP? I really like that Kyle Larson, Martin Truex Jr. and Ryan Blaney combo this week when you factor in the price tags and the starting positions. I think that's actually a really good trio this week. I'm debating on going that with my main lineup as well. Aaron says not a lot of Ryan Blaney talk this week, like Truex last week is what I'm assuming you're saying. Well, I know I talked up Ryan Blaney. I don't know if anyone else is or not, but if no one else is talking about Ryan Blaney, that's good for me because I plan on being overweight on the field on him. I don't see why no one would be talking about him because $9,200, that seems like an absolute steal for the guy who was pretty much the best driver at the mile and a half tracks last year. I know at Homestead he had an issue with Eric Almirola, but even then he wasn't even running that great. But he's shown speed the past 2 weeks, and he had speed at Las Vegas, which I know is not a high tire wear track. But Blaney was good at Atlanta last year. He was 4th in average green flag speed and finished inside the top 5. And Carr came alive later on in the race when it was a little bit cooler. So yeah, I definitely like Ryan Blaney a lot today. D-Roll says, so there's no way I'm going to fade Harvick. I'll go down with the ship in Atlanta. Yeah, I totally understand that, man. I mean, his numbers are just so good here. I'm not going to fade him either. I'm not sure how much I'm going to have of him yet. I'm probably going to cap it at, I probably don't want to be above 35%. Like in years past, you could almost lock button Kevin Harvick at Atlanta and feel good about it. That's just how good he's been here, but I'm definitely not doing that today. But anyway, you said Harvick, Blaney, Truex, Cindric, Chris Buescher, and Alfredo. I think that's a great looking lineup, and that just goes to show how easy it is to make lineups this week. You can get 3 really good dominators like Harvick, Blaney, Truex, and the guy starting dead last in Austin Cindric, who's got top 20 upside in a Penske car, and then you don't even have to go dumpster diving. You got Chris Buescher, who's a solid driver, then Anthony Alfredo, he's a top 25 guy. So it's really easy to make lineups this week, and this should be a really fun week because you can make some fun lineups. Because usually the dominators, it makes it real tough trying to make lineups, but DraftKings made it really soft this week, which could be a bad thing, good thing or bad thing. Paul says Larson, Elliott, or Truex if I already have Hamlin. If you already have Hamlin, probably would make more sense to go with Kyle Larson just so you're not fully stacking the front row. I think that's fine to stack the front row today. I'll have some lineups with Hamlin and Truex because just because they're starting first, second doesn't mean they both can't dominate. I mean, it's not not a thing. I know people don't like doing that, but it can certainly happen. But yeah, I would probably go with Kyle Larson there. Brian says, when is Juliana going to host one of these? She needs to host one of these soon. She could moderate and ask me the questions, and we can do like a duo stream. That'd probably be pretty fun. Maybe we can do that one day. Don says, Chris, please invite me. Don, make sure you comment your username on my recent video, because I can't do it during the live stream. But I do appreciate your eagerness. Brack, not sure your name, Bratch maybe. Kurt Busch is popping on optimizers. Your thoughts? I like Kurt Busch. He's popping on mine for sure. I mean, starting 11th, I know it doesn't look as appealing as guys like Tyler Reddick and Austin Cindric, but Kurt Busch is one of the better drivers at Atlanta. He has average finish of nearly 5th place here, which is crazy. So, yeah, I'm definitely in on Kurt Busch today in tournaments. I'm not sure I'd go there in cash games because, I mean, Tyler Reddick's right there starting 29th and Cindric 39th, but I like him in tournaments quite a bit. Julian says, that sounds fun. I'm going to have to pop in and say hi one of these weeks. Yeah, for sure. We're going to have to figure that out one week. It'll be fun. Conscious says, my man, can we leave $1,000 on the table? Probably don't think I'd really want to leave $1,000 on the table today. I mean, maybe if you just want to play like a Logano Truex then place differential, you might have some money on the table, but I'm not going out of my way to do that just because there's so many good plays today. Michael says it's okay to take Stenhouse with a 3 dominator lineup. For sure. Yeah, Stenhouse doesn't play today. Definitely don't feel bad about playing Stenhouse today. John says, Chris, what do you think of Elliott this week? How does he run at Atlanta? Can he pay his price? So he hasn't really been a dominator at Atlanta, but that's not concerning me too much because Chase Elliott had the best average green flag speed at the high tire wear tracks last year, and overall was one of the best drivers at the 1.5 mile tracks. And it's only a matter of time before he becomes a dominator at Atlanta, and he's really cheap. Like, when's the last time we've had Chase Elliott below $10,000? I mean, maybe we have recently, maybe at the road course, maybe. I don't remember, but I mean, he's usually really close to the $11,000 range, so I like taking advantage of this price tag on Chase Elliott this week just because of the speed he showed at the 1.5 mile tracks and the high tire tracks last year. I know he hasn't had the greatest start to the season, but he's been getting pretty unlucky, but we know those Hendrick cars have a ton of speed. Wyatt says, what's your take on Joey Logano today? I know he's a price play. Where are you thinking he finishes? Top 12? Oh, he should definitely be a top 10 guy. Like, whenever Joey Logano doesn't finish inside the top 10, you're usually kind of surprised because it's Joey Logano. He's a top tier driver and a top tier ride. His numbers at Atlanta aren't bad either. He has been a dominator before. Again, it's mainly a price play because I'd much rather play Blaney or Truex, but he can potentially be an early dominator, and maybe he takes over early on and leads the first 25 not caution laps, but before the competition caution. It's certainly possible, so I'm going to have a decent chunk of Logano just because of the price today. Not really because I like him a lot, but just because of that price. Because even then, he doesn't have to be like a mega dominator to pay off a $9,400 price tag. Rick says, Larson, Truex, Logano, Kurt Busch, McDowell, Buescher. Who would you change? I mean, I don't want to talk you off that lineup because I think it's fine. I'm not a big fan of McDowell, so if you're going to change anybody, I'd probably say McDowell, but even then, it's a fine lineup. Paul says, what would your strategy be for a 3-entry max tournament? I think in tournaments, you're looking probably more so towards a 3 dominator build. Now, if you want to get leverage, I feel like Austin Cindric will be very chalky today. So instead of maybe going 2 Doms plus Cindric, you can go 3 Doms minus Cindric and get a guy with a higher ceiling. But, I mean, the strategy doesn't change too much for me there. Albert says, you always mention your pivots based on price. Do you ever make pivots based on starting position as opposed to price? So do you mean like something like Tyler Reddick starting 29th and Kurt Busch starting 11th? I'd make a pivot off of that just because I know Tyler Reddick's going to be chalkier because everyone likes playing place differential, which I totally get. I think Reddick's probably a better play than Kurt Busch today, but starting 11th, he is top 5 upside. Tyler Reddick's probably more so got top 10 upside, so I know that kind of evens out with the massive place differential. But I do make pivots because of starting positions because Alex Bowman's going to be much lower owned than Cindric, but I mean, Bowman's got a pretty high ceiling today. Wyatt says Suarez or Chastain. I'd go Chastain there. I feel like he's got better potential for a top 15. Aster says, any love for Newman? Yeah, I definitely like Newman. He's one of my favorite cheaper drivers today. I wouldn't say 7K range is ever a cheap option, but I do like him quite a bit. I did write him up in the Awesemo article. Jet says, can you rank Cindric, Reddick, Kurt, MDB, and Almirola? $8,600, $8,000 range for GPP. I'd rank Cindric number 1, Reddick number 2. Actually, the exact order you have. Cindric 1, Reddick 2, Kurt 3, MDB 4, Almirola 5. So, made my job easier there. Dad says NASCAR's such a crapshoot. Let's be real. First time I ever played, I won 2,500. Since probably donated $10,000. Well, you can set yourself up for the right strategy. Sometimes you have the wrong wrecks, but overall, been profitable. Chase says, yabba dabba yippee, it's Sunday. I like the entrance. Chris, which picks you like for price picks? Oh, I don't know anything about price picks, Chase. I'm sorry. I mean, if you can give me like I don't even know how the scoring works over there, so I wouldn't be able to tell you. FE says, thoughts on a Super Penske stack? I mean, yeah, if you can make it work, sure. You'd probably make that work. You'd have Blaney, Logano, Keselowski, Austin Cindric. You could even throw an MDB if it works. I don't think you put him in there. I don't know if that would work, though. It's a lot of expensive drivers, but I wouldn't hate that. Trent says, so fading Custer this week. I'm not going to have a ton of Custer because his price tag's up to $8,000 now, but he's a good play. I mean, he's got top 15 upside. And he's been running well the past few weeks. He isn't finishing well. Although I don't think the one race he ran well, but 2 out of the past 3, I'm pretty sure he's been running pretty strong. He has an issue at the end of the race. Last week, he was crushing. Like, he was getting close to the top 10. Then what do you have, like a tire go down or hit the wall or something? It was something stupid. Let's see. Wyatt says, do you think there's a chance Bubba can top 10? There's a chance. Last week, it looked like he was going to have a top 10 finish, and then he ended up not pitting for some reason. I don't know why he stayed out. He gained, 6 spots, and it was not worth it because he got eaten alive on old tires. But he was looking like a top 10 guy last week late in the race. Sincere says, for tournaments, would it be wise to play 9K and 8K drivers to have leverage over the field? Well, I wouldn't go to my way to fade the 10K guys just because of ownership. I mean, these 9K guys are going to have have a decent amount of exposure as well. I think Truex is probably going to be one of the highest owned drivers on the slate. I think probably Larson, Truex, and Cindric might be the highest owned guys today. Maybe Kevin Harvick just because it's Harvick at Atlanta. But, I mean, I don't hate the idea of it. Gerald says, I'm still learning NASCAR. How do you know who dominators are? Just the same guys are the typical dominators. Like, you're never going to see a guy like Ryan Newman typically come out and dominate. I know we had that one week where it was crazy where Chris Buescher dominated, but that is something very out of the ordinary. You're not going to see a Ryan Preece, Haley. They just don't have the equipment to dominate. It's always going to be Kevin Harvick, Busch, Larson, Keselowski, Hamlin, Elliott, those kind of guys. Those are the typical dominators. They have the best equipment. They're the better drivers, and that's who the dominators are pretty much every single week, outside of some very rare exceptions. Chase says, I won a ton of money on MMA from Sal Vetri's price picks last night, so do me right, other CP. Hope all been well. Where's the mason jar? Mason jar's right here, Chase. But I'm glad you did very well last night. I just don't know anything about price picks, so I have no idea what to tell you there. Maybe if they want a little sponsor action, I'll look into it. Albert says, 10-player GPP single entry. Truex, Blaney, Byron, Cindric, Custer, Alfredo. I think that's pretty good, Albert. I like the Byron play there. I'm not sure how many people are going to be on Byron, but the last similar track we had to Atlanta, I mean, he was the best car in the field, so definitely don't mind Byron in tournaments. Gary says, what 2 DOMs for GPP? I mean, you can make a case for anybody above Blaney and above for the most part. Personally, my favorite are Kyle Larson and Truex today, though. My 2 favorites to win. Garrett says, still 15 spots left in the YouTube contest on DK. Hopefully we'll fill that soon. I'm sure there's people commenting right now anyway, so. Yeah, if you want in, though, just make sure you comment your username. HBG says, which driver should you use in a single entry this week? Well, I mean, a lot of drivers this week I like. Austin Cindric's probably the one guy he's the safest option on the board, starting 39th. He's got top 20 upside. So he can seriously gain you close to 20 to 25 spots today. I would not be surprised. And for the dominators, I like Kyle Larson and Truex quite a bit today. Aaron says, how do you feel about Bell getting up front and leading laps? Probably not going to happen. I know he's on good equipment now. He's on Joe Gibbs Racing. It's just, I don't really think Bell's going to dominate over a guy like Larson, Hamlin, Truex, Blaney, Elliott. I think he can have a solid run today. I just don't see him being a dominator. If you're playing Christopher Bell, you don't really need him to dominate anyway. You just need him to stick around that 8th place starting position, maybe gain a couple spots, which is possible. Alan says, fade Cindric and GPP. I wouldn't hate being underweight on Cindric just to get the guys like Alex Bowman or William Byron, but I'm not going to full fade him. I mean, he's a very, very safe play today. High ceiling and high floor. This doesn't have a dominator ceiling, but pretty high ceiling, though. Marquis says, Denny Hamlin king today. I mean, I don't mind Denny Hamlin. It's like the first time I haven't been in love with a pole sitter because, man, I'm just having Pole sitters recently in the COVID era just have been absolute dumpster fires, but I don't mind Denny Hamlin. He's beginning at the high tire wear tracks, and it's a decent track for him. Joe says, do you think Reddick has top 5 potential? Yeah, he does. I wouldn't say it's likely, but Tyler Reddick's a very good driver. He's an aggressive driver, which can be unfortunate sometimes because he tries to outrun his equipment sometimes, and he'll get a little bit risky and hit the wall or something. So that's the risk with Tyler Reddick, but he's in a very good spot today. Rick says favorite 5K driver today, Anthony Alfredo, and then Corey LaJoy. Chase says, man, Price Picks is the shizniz. Dude, it's the bee's knees. 40 points for first, 39 for second, so on and so forth. Okay. Well, I'd have to probably think about that more, but I would hate those for sure. So I wish you the best of luck in the Price Picks today, Chase, but I really have no idea about it. I haven't really given any thought to it. Gambling Bandit says, all week long I was going to bet Truex to win, then looked into it a bit more. I think Larson, he dominated in 2019. Hendrick seems to like the T. I don't think you finished your sentence there, but I'm definitely with you on Kyle Larson. I mean, for me, it's Truex or Larson as my picks to win, but it's hard to bet against Kyle Larson right now. That 5 car looks insanely fast, and if he never went to the rear last week, I wouldn't be surprised if he would have led like 200, 300 laps. His car was super, super good, so I'm definitely on Larson today. I think he dominates and probably wins. D-Roll says Wallace clipped Custer, had a great week, still almost 20x last week, and would have been a ton more if Wallace didn't help put him into the wall. That's right, I forgot Bubba did that. It wasn't Custer himself, but yeah, that sucked. I was having a really, really strong week until that happened to Custer, which sucked. 900 says, what's up, Chris? What's up, Knight? Do you think Cindric will have the equipment for a top 15? He's in a Penske car. I don't think he's going to run with like Blaney, Logano, and Keselowski, but I think he could put up a similar performance to MDB today. So, yeah, he's got top 15 upside. Probably more so top 20 upside, but definitely has, outside chance of the top 15. Marquis says, no Joey. Timothy says, how many Dominators in tournaments today? Anywhere from 2 to 4. Crazy as that sounds, you can make 4 Dominators work today, no problem. It's really not that hard. But I'd probably stick to 2 to 3. Especially if you're only building a couple lineups. Danny says, Bowman versus Cindric. Bowman in tournaments, Cindric in cash games. Alex Bowman seriously has a chance to dominate the race. Not saying it's a likely scenario, but I would say Alex Bowman's got a better chance of getting a top 5 finish than Cindric has of a top 10. Chase says, promise me if you do Price Picks, which is a better version of Monkey Knife Fight, you'll use my code, get 100 match on a deposit up to $100. Okay, Chase, I will. If I ever do that, I will. Sean says, I need one of these. Suarez, Priest, Alfredo, or Briscoe for cash. Well, Briscoe's like in another tier from those guys, so I guess if you can get up to Chase Briscoe, I'd rather do that. I'm going to have more exposure to a guy like Anthony Alfredo, but Briscoe's like $1,000 some more, so as long as price doesn't matter, I'd say Briscoe. Paul says, would you consider Byron as a third Dominator or just go down to Bowman or Reddick? Byron can be a potential Dominator. Last time we were at Homestead, a few weeks ago, which is a similar track to Atlanta, Byron had the best car and won. So, certainly not out of the equation that Byron could dominate today. And those 100 cars have been very, very fast. Kyle says, hello, Chris. Great work, and hit that like button. Thank you, Kyle. Yeah, make sure you guys hit that like button. Thoughts on Cindric, Elliott, LaJoy, Larson, Newman, and Reddick in GPP? Do you think this is a chalk lineup? It's probably going to be a pretty chalky lineup for the most part. Cindric's definitely going to be chalk. Larson's going to be chalky. Newman should be decently high owned. Reddick should be high owned, starting 29th. LaJoy is a decent pivot off of Corey LaJoy. I wouldn't say LaJoy is going to be, off of Anthony Alfredo. I don't think LaJoy is going to go unowned, but he should be a little bit lower. And then Chase Elliott. I'm not sure what the Chase Elliott ownership is going to look like because I think everyone likes to play Chase Elliott every week. And he's obviously one of the best drivers in the field. He won the championship last year, and he's below $10,000. So I think he'll be decently popular, but I don't think it's going to be more so than Truex and Kyle Larson today. So I don't think it's the worst thing you could ever do. Matt says, who's your favorite to dominate today? Kyle Larson. Kyle Larson's my favorite dominator. Bourne says Harvick or Larson. I would say Larson, as crazy as that sounds. I know Harvick's the absolute man here, but I just like what I've seen from Larson so far this year. Tommy says, any love for Briscoe? Like, as more so as a last piece fit, I'm not going to go to my way to play Briscoe, but starting 24th below $7,000 and Stewart-Haas equipment, it's never a bad thing. Jorge says, is there a way to play 3 dominators and avoid scrubs? There's a way to play 4 dominators today and avoid scrubs. And I'm not including guys like Corey LaJoy and Alfredo in the scrub range. I'd say everyone below LaJoy is a scrub. So yeah, you don't have to go down that range, especially if you're only playing 3 dominators. I mean, definitely don't have to go below Corey LaJoy today. Brian says Busher or Priest. I like Busher a little bit more there. Steven says, isn't Kurt Busch too cheap to ignore with the numbers he has at Atlanta? Yeah, I would not ignore Kurt Busch today. I think I said Kurt Busch today. I wouldn't say he's like super cheap, but starting 11th, he's got potential to pick up like 5 to 6 spots and get some really good finishing position points. So I definitely like Kurt Busch in tournaments today. Right as a pivot off of Reddick and Cindric chalk. Smokey says, I picked the past 2 first stage winners and didn't bet on them. Lost out on $3,400. Oh man. Well, don't miss out on doing that again today, Smokey. Wyatt says, who finishes higher today? Kessler, Blaney. Keselowski's been really, really good at Atlanta. I think Blaney's a better overall DFS play today because of the price point, but I would probably say Keselowski finishes above Blaney. It's going to be close, though. Mitchell says, good morning, Chris. I'm declaring myself as president of the Kyle Larson fan club. Oh, okay. Okay, Mitchell. Is playing Larson in 75, 80% of lineups, playing 40. Too much. I know it's high, but I think he wins today. Hey, if you want to take a stand, I would never be against being really overweight on a driver. I mean, I don't personally ever go that high on drivers unless they're starting dead last and they're like way too cheap. Cindric's not way too cheap this week, so I'm not doing that. But if you want to take a stand, and I'm a big believer in Kyle Larson today, I'm not going to personally do that, but I would not talk you off of that because I think there's a very strong chance Larson's a contender to be in the optimal lineup today. Timothy says, is Busch worth this price at $10,700? Probably not, to be honest, but I'm still going to play him. He did finish in the top 5 here last year, actually looked pretty strong, and that was without practice. And he hasn't been terrible this year either. Starting 19th, he can get these place differential points. I'd like pairing him up with the guy starting closer to the front just to lock in those early dominator points. And Kyle Busch can be a factor later on in the race, so I don't think he's a bad play today. I'm probably going to have the most Kyle Busch I've had this week than I've had in a long time. Ryan Wood says, better tournament, Octane or Lugnut, Chrome Horn. What's the Octane again? Is that the $8? Is there an $8 150 max? I know that used to be a thing. But the Lugnut's one of my favorite contests. It's only $5, 150 max, and there's a lot less people, so you don't even have to get the absolute optimal lineup to take down that contest. We've seen that before, so I like the Lugnut a lot. Chrome Horn, that's a 20 max, so kind of hard to compare those two. Joe says Briscoe or Chastain. I'm going to have more Chastain than Briscoe today, just because he's a little bit cheaper. Chase says, long story short, I think Harvick and Larson get top 5. If they do, I win 3x my buy-in. Sorry for the non-DK Monkey Knife Fight questions, but I've been making much more money on those types of bets. Yeah, no problem, Chase. And I wish you the best of luck on those today. I would say Harvick and Larson probably get top 5 as well. Pedro says, yo, Holmes, where's your full punt option for today? I don't really want to... I usually have like one guy I'm willing to go down low with, but I don't see anyone below LaJoy that I'd really want to play today. And LaJoy is so cheap at $5,300. I would rather just get down to him. So the cheapest guy I want to go today is Corey LaJoy. I don't plan on going below that, maybe outside of 1 or 2 lineups and 150 max. Bourne says Truex has practice through Xfinity Series. Never hurts getting track time, especially with no practice these days. Conscious says Buescher or Stenhouse Jr. I have a little bit more Buescher than Stenhouse as of right now, so I'd go with him. And he's starting further back, so. Timothy says Stenhouse a good play if he can hold top 15. Yeah, for sure. And we've seen him do that multiple times so far this season. So, yeah, I'm definitely on Stenhouse. Gambling says we going underweight on Harvick. I'm thinking about trying to match the field on Harvick. I might be slightly underweight, but I don't want to get burned by another Kevin Harvick performance at Atlanta because I probably feel like it's going to happen. So I'm going to at least try to be even. I'm going to try to figure out where his ownership's going to be. I think it's going to sit around that 25 to 30% range, and I would not mind trying to get even on the field with Harvick today. Marquise says K-Busch. Well, that could be Kurt or Kyle, so not totally sure. I don't mind both today, though. Sean says if it doesn't leave 100 on the table going Briscoe. Okay, yeah, it's fine. Appreciate that, Chris. Thank you very much for the advertisement there. Smokey says 1,400 to 1 odds on Byron to win the first stage. That's not terrible. That's not terrible. I mean, it's possible. It certainly is. Just need a good pit stop on the competition caution. Jorge says, Truex, Kyle Larson, Bowman without scrubs. Yeah, you can make that work easily. Easily without scrubs. Chuck says, sorry if you already covered this, but what's your views on Harvick? Well, I probably answered that when I was talking about the ownership I want to have on Kevin Harvick, but I think the cooler temperatures will work in his favor. He should be able to grip that bottom, which we saw last year. But the thing is, he just hasn't showed that top-tier speed of guys like Kyle Larson has so far this year, or Martin Truex Jr., guys like that. So that's the only concern, because they just really haven't been nailing the setup yet. And they haven't really been much of a dominating threat since the start of the playoffs last year. So that's the only concern of not wanting to just go all in on Kevin Harvick at Atlanta. But I like him enough to at least match the field on him in ownership. Rob says, what's good, brother? What's up, Rob? What is your exposure to Kurt Busch and Stenhouse? I'm not going to give the exacts, but Kurt Busch and Stenhouse. Stenhouse, I wouldn't really want to go over 20% today, and Kurt Busch, I probably don't want to get past 30%. Oops, chat went down. I say that every time. Hold on, where was I at? Let's go here. David says, possible to win with Reddick, Larson, DiBenedetto, Byron, Bell, Stenhouse Jr. without Cindric. Yeah, it's possible to win without Cindric. I mean, he's not an absolute lock to make the optimal lineup today, so I don't hate that. The only problem is your only dominator is Larson, unless you're going to include Byron there, which is possible. So if Larson's just the main dominator and there's not another guy that has a big chunk of dominator points, which probably isn't the most likely thing, unless Byron happens to be that other guy, or maybe even Christopher Bell. So I don't hate that. It is possible to win. Tony says best play Cindric, Bowman, or Reddick. Overall, Cindric. In tournaments, I really like Bowman today, but overall, like projection-wise, it'd be Cindric for me. Gerald says Kyle or Kurt today. Well, price doesn't matter, Kyle, because I know he's like $3,000 more, but I would definitely take Kyle over Kurt if price wasn't an issue. Jorge says, thank you, Chris. You just gave me some hope. Well, I'm glad to do that, Jorge. That's why I'm here. Give you hope. Marquis says Elliott or Elliott. I'm not sure if you spelled it wrong, but on purpose to say don't play Elliott, but I like Chase Elliott today quite a bit. Albert says large field GPP, Larson, Truex, Bell, Stenhouse, Elliott, and Alfredo. Yeah, I like that quite a bit, Albert. You got, with that, 3 doms? Truex, Larson, Elliott. Even Bell could be like a sneaky dominator, but yeah, I like that lineup. Brandon says, would playing Truex, Harvick, and Blaney be a smart move? Yeah, I think it's a smart move. I like all 3 of those guys a lot. You can easily make those 3 dominator lineups. Marquis says Elliott or Larson in cash. I would go with Larson. He'll probably be higher owned anyway, so it's a little bit safer. But overall, Larson's been the man this year, so definitely on Larson. Timothy says favorite driver in the 9K range. I have Truex and Larson already, and want a third dominator. Well, it's gonna be Ryan Blaney for me. I know I'd always say Ryan Blaney, but he's really popping out in my projections to me. It's starting 10th at $9,200. He made the optimal lineup last year in a very similar position and a similar price point. Would not be surprised if that happens again. Paul says, if you had to guess, what will Cindric finish today and will he be optimal? I have him around that 17 to 20 range in finishing position, and that's kind of similar to where his Vegas odds are. When I first noticed the Vegas odds for his odds to win, it was right around the Bubba Wallace range, which kind of put him in 15th to 17th place. His odds got put down to close to that Chris Buescher range and Chase Briscoe. So I wouldn't be surprised if he can contend for a top 20 today. He's in good equipment. He's the guy in Xfinity Series. So, and will he be optimal if he does that? There's a decent chance he would be. Unless a guy like Bowman or Reddick just happen to absolutely blow his numbers out of the water, which probably won't be super likely. Dylan says Bowman or Byron so tough. Byron has been on fire. He surely has. Certainly has. No, let me say surely. Certainly has, but I'm going to go with Bowman. He's starting 5 spots further back, and I feel like he has very similar upside, if not maybe a little bit more. So I'll just go with Bowman there. Plus, he's a little bit cheaper. D-Roll says, no, I do not have an optimizer. I use Fantasy Cruncher. I have no idea how to make an optimizer. I would love to hire someone to make me an optimizer. That'd be nice. If anyone knows how to do that, hit my DMs, but I certainly do not know how to do that. Especially up to Fantasy Cruncher's standards. Making groups and things like that, and you have the slightest clue. Where are we at? Trent says no Almirola. I'm not really a big fan of Almirola today. I'm going to try to probably find a way to get him in a few lineups, but I'm just not a big fan. I just like those other 8K drivers a lot more, like Kurt, Reddick, Cindric, Bowman. It's just hard for me to click on Almirola's name, especially if I was hand building. I'm going to try to get at least a little bit of him because as of right now, I don't think I have any Almirola, which I don't really like fading any of those drivers in there. So I'll try to fix that probably a little bit. Aaron says Kyle Busch low owned. Probably not because he's Kyle Busch. Plus he's starting 19th and his price isn't that bad. So I don't think he's going to be super low owned today. Jay says, yo, Chris, how much you have for the year? I'm pretty much even so far. Cole Custer, I was going to probably have a really, really good week last week. And then Cole Custer absolutely just destroyed me. So for the most part, I've been pretty even. I keep getting so close and then it just, stupid things happen at the end. But that's how NASCAR is. Just got to keep firing away. KB says, greetings, Chris. Greetings. Been watching you for a couple weeks now. Thanks for the information. Really new at DFS. You've been explaining it well. Thanks again. Appreciate that, KB. Thank you very much. Easy says Blaney or Logano. If you had to choose one in a Truex lineup, I'll go with Blaney there. Plus, you get the place differential upside instead of having the guy starting second and third. Wyatt says, I really hope Almirola doesn't kill me today. Watch Harvick give him a setup. Probably. That's probably what will be happening. Rob says, thanks. Definitely best in the biz. Appreciate that, Rob. Brad says, Hamlin and Cash. I'm not against that. The thing is, it's weird because everyone wants to usually play the pole sitter in Cash, but I don't think a lot of people like Hamlin today too much. I think everyone's tired of playing the pole sitter. Personally, I'd rather play Truex. I know he's not starting on the pole, but I just like the price tag better, and I just feel like overall as the race goes on, Truex will end up leading more laps than Denny Hamlin will today. Early on, it might not be the smart move because I do think Hamlin can lead the first 25 laps, but after that, it's anyone's best guess on who's going to dominate. JJ says, what's up, Chris? How many drivers do you think will be in the lead lap with 20 to go? Well, geez, I have no idea. It's going to depend on cautions and wrecks and things like that. I had to look up the averages, which I don't have on top of my head, so I don't want to just throw out a random number to sound smart. Chuck says, favorite options in the 8 to 9K range on DK. So 8 to 9K range? Well, I guess my favorite option would probably be Truex and Blaney. Then I like Austin Cindric. So if you just want 3 drivers there, probably my favorite, Truex, Blaney, and Austin Cindric. Or I guess that would be the 8 to 10K range. So in the $8,000 range, I would say Cindric and Reddick, and then Bowman. Just like Kurt Busch as well. Jay Chorto says, on FanDuel, do you like this lineup? Harvick, Larson, Kurt Busch, Cindric, and Reddick, and attorney? Yeah, for sure. I like all those drivers quite a bit. Timothy says Stenhouse or Buescher. I would go with Buescher there. Let's Talk America says Ricky Stenhouse has been pretty solid lately, especially for the price. Can I still ride him this week? Yeah, I like Stenhouse. It's actually been a decent track for him. I think he has top 15 upside. The problem is he's starting 12th, so I do think he'll probably lose a spot or two, but with his price tag, that's not bad because these other guys are probably going to be pretty lucky to get inside the top 15. So I think you can eat the few place differential points he's going to lose there. For sure, I love playing Blaney. I don't know, he was like the second most optimal driver last year, so it definitely worked out. I know he hasn't been super hot to start the season, but he's had 2 decent races in a row. Jet says, which of the Doms would you want to be underweight on in GPP? Probably Logano, and I wouldn't hate being underweight on Kyle Busch if he's going to be super chalky today. Maybe even Denny Hamlin. Just because, I don't know, I hate playing the pole sitter at this point. Like, I know I've been doing it the past few weeks. It's just out of bad habit maybe, but pole sitter has just been killing me for sure. Although, Keselowski didn't do terrible last week, but he didn't do what we thought he was going to do. Gerald says LaJoy or Priest. I like LaJoy a little bit more. Sean says, still watching, making some bacon for some bacon, lettuce, tomato for lunch, and bacon later for bacon cheeseburgers. Man, you're all bacony today, but that does sound pretty good, Sean. Hope you enjoy the food. Timothy says, is McDowell a good tournament play? Seems cheap for starting 18th. He's a fine tournament play. I don't really like McDowell too much today. I think he's going to finish inside that top 20. I'd rather get to Buescher and someone like Daniel Suarez, but I don't hate McDowell today. It just doesn't really pop up in my projections too much. Tony says, what is the latest time the drivers will possibly be sent to the back? Probably like an hour before the race starts, which sucks because I'll be in the live show. So I'm sure someone's going to go to the back that I like, which never makes for a fun time because I got to answer questions, talk strategy, and things like that while trying to edit lineups, which is not the easiest thing in the world to do. Aaron says, what are better odds? Timmy Hill winning a race or me winning Million Maker on DK? Well, at least you have the opportunity to win a race, Aaron. Timmy Hill is not going to ever have a chance to win a race unless he gets seriously lucky at a Daytona race where there's a rain delay and he happened to be the guy that didn't pit yet, something like that. Something like Justin Haley a couple years ago. But I'd say you have better odds of winning the Millie Maker. Where he says, I believe today's going to be my day with your advice in the intercession of my patron Saint Anthony of Padua. Should be a great day. I'm not sure who that is, but whatever it is, I wish you the best of luck there, Jorge. Why says Matty D gonna finish where he starts? I think Matty D can gain a few spots, but overall I wouldn't be surprised if he just sits in that 15 to 20 place range today. Spain kids, if any spots left, Spain 31. Just comment that on my recent video and I'll be happy to send you the invite. I think there's like 10 to 15 spots left. Chase says 1 to 2 finish, Kevin Harvick, Kyle Larson, because it's a sunshine day. I mean, those are two of my favorite drivers today. I mean, Kevin Harvick, I wouldn't say Kevin Harvick's one of my favorite drivers for DFS purposes, but we know he's the absolute man in Atlanta, and I love Kyle Larson today. So, I mean, it wouldn't surprise me if those guys are 1-2. Eric says, okay to full fade Mcdowell and Jones in a 20 entry. Yeah, I wouldn't be against that. I mean, I don't hate Eric Jones today, but I don't really like Mcdowell, so that's fine. Bourne says, did you see the 8 hit the grass yesterday? If not, go watch it. I heard about it, but I did not watch it, so I definitely will have to afterwards. I know they were trying to level the grass last night through the night, so. Where are we at? Wes says, I'm not getting into the 8K range much in GPP builds. That makes me nervous. Well, I think it's going to be a very popular thing to do today, so in GPPs, it's okay to get different. So I know it doesn't feel great, but I mean, Cindric, Reddick are no guarantee to absolutely smash today. Things can happen to them for sure. Travis says, favorite dominator, 9K and above other than Larson with the price not an issue. With price not an issue? Oh, I still like Truex a lot. I know he's really cheap, and you said price isn't an issue, but I'm a big fan of Martin Truex today. But if price isn't an issue, Kevin Harvick at $11,000 is very enticing there. I just feel like Truex is more likely to lead laps. Chase says, what did you eat so far today? I ate chili for breakfast. It was kind of strange. That's definitely a weird thing to have for breakfast, Chase. My breakfast was hash browns, eggs, turkey, sausage, and yogurt. It was very yummy. Andre says, how many Dominator points for today? Dominator points? I don't know what the exact number is going to be. If you mean how many Dominators to use, I would say anywhere from 2 to 4. Andre says, lots of McDowell questions today. Yeah, for sure. Maybe a certain optimizer likes McDowell off today. I don't know. I don't think mine does very much. My projections don't really spit out too much McDowell. Albert says, what's a good baseline for a driver's value? 4X's price, 4X, 5X. I think is a decent range for him. But NASCAR is one of those sports where it's the value for a driver is kind of hard because guys can wreck out, and it's different every single week. It's not like NBA where you're shooting for a guy that's 6 or 7X that night. Because I mean, we can see a driver go 10X even if they're $10,000. Sincere says, any risk for crashes here like yesterday? I mean, there's always a risk for crashes. This isn't a real track that would be a wreck fest usually, but it certainly happened. I wouldn't expect half the cars to wreck out or anything though. Matt says, Briscoe or Newman and DK Turney. I like Newman a little bit more there. Don says, watch out boys, my lineup is fire. Hope so, Don. Hoping mine is fire today. Sean says, okay, I'm a newbie. What does going to the back mean? You mean I've been missing late swaps? Oh, yes, you have been missing late stops, Sean. Last week, Larson went to the back. Elliott went to the back. Byron did as well, right? And then a couple more cars. So if you fail tech a certain amount of times, you'll be sent to the back, and you're not going to be scored from the back either. You're going to hold your same starting position, so you're going to start out the race with negative points. Yeah, it happens every week. Oh, I see dude answered you already, so sorry to double up on that, but appreciate the answer for me. Joe says, I feel like if I win big, I owe you a % of the winnings. Thanks for all you do. You never have to feel compelled to give me the % of winnings. I'm just happy to do this for you guys. If you want to, I'm obviously not against it, but you certainly don't need to feel like you have to. I don't care either way. Chase says, yum, that sounds awesome. It was pretty good. Dude says it's good karma to tip your master if you hit big. Please don't feel like you ever need to do that. If you ever send me a picture of you winning big, don't think I'm thinking, oh, you better send me some money. I'm just happy for you, I promise. Adam says, how popular will the lineup of 1, 2, 3, 4 Hamlin, Truex, Logano, Keselowski plus 2 scrubs be? Probably not super popular. I'll look in Fantasy Cruncher and see if one of my lineups looks like that. I don't think it's likely that'll be optimal at all, unless all 4 of those guys put up some dominator points, but it's possible. I don't think it'll be super popular, though. Like, those drivers will be popular, but I don't think the combination of them will. Timothy says, Alfredo, Blaney, Larson, Truex, Suarez, Cindric, too chalky for tournaments. I don't think so. I don't think Suarez is going to be super popular today because the price came up a little bit. So, yeah, I think that's fine. I mean, Larson, Truex, Blaney's going to be popular. So is Alfredo and Cindric, but I don't hate it. Sean says, okay, how long before a race does this happen? Usually about an hour before so. So if you follow Bob Pockgrass on Twitter, he usually will tweet out information if someone goes to the back. So typically that doesn't change my ownership too much, but if a guy if a pole sitter like Denny Hamlin goes to the back, the main appeal for Hamlin was that he was starting on the pole, so he's in the best position to dominate early on. If he goes to the back, that's gone, so he's actually a really strong fade candidate at that point. Not like a full fade, but definitely lower your ownership on. Appreciate it, Chase. Thank you. You are as well. Jason says, fading Bubba, 100% smart move. Yeah, I mean, I wouldn't hate fading Bubba 100%. I might have a little bit of him, but it's not going to go on my way to do that. I'll appreciate the donation, right? A-Right. I'm not sure your first name, but I really do appreciate that. Don't need to feel like you have to do that. But stack the back this week. By the way, just for fun, do you ever miss Danica racing? I would not plan on stacking the back this week because you definitely want dominators in your lineup because Atlanta's a track with 325 laps. I forget the exact amount of dominator points, but I believe that's around 220. So if you're just going strictly on place differential, it certainly gives you a high floor, but you're going to miss out on all those dominator points that are going to take down tournaments. Typically, Atlanta, we see 2 to 3 dominators in every single lineup, so you're going to want to definitely roster some guys starting closer to the front. So even though that Kyle Larson, Keselowski, Truex, Blaney are all starting up closer to the front, they're still very, very good plays, even though Cindric starting in the very back is very appealing, but you can kind of pair them together to offset each other. So definitely don't just fully stack the back this week. And do I ever miss Danica racing? I was really young when she was racing, so I don't have a strong take on that, but I do remember, didn't she make the optimal lineup at a Daytona 500 before? I know she didn't win, but I can't remember if I rostered her that race. But, I'm not really indifferent on her racing or not. Tommy says fading Bubba is almost always a good idea. Sean says you had no idea. Yeah, I mean, if you're new to NASCAR DFS, people will go to the back, and that's always something to keep in mind. Because I remember, was it the Homestead race? Hamlin was on the pole and he got sent to the rear, in which he was in my favorite place beforehand. Then when he went to the rear, I kind of really got off of him. So that's definitely something to keep in mind because that will change things. FE says, great stuff as always, CP16. Can't wait for your thoughts on the dirt race at Bristol next week. Oh my gosh, I'm not looking forward to that. I don't even know how to do fantasy for that really yet. I mean, I know we're going to have the heat races and I think we get practice. So I'm not even sure if I'm going to be able to post a video. I'm obviously going to go live, but I'll probably just do the live stream and then probably no video because I'm going to have to work on articles and projections and everything. And we'll figure that out. It's next week. Then do we get the Easter break after that? I think there's a break somewhere. I forget where. Anyway, I forget what I was talking about. Oh, the Bristol dirt race. Yeah, I'm not looking forward to that. That's going to be probably just stack the back because everyone's going to wreck. And then go 100% Kyle Larson or Christopher Bell or something like that. Brandon says, need to fill my last spot. Who do you like, Bowman, Cindric, or Reddick? I'll go Cindric there. He's the safest option. Chase says, money watching CSGO. You play CSGO DFS? Oh my gosh. Glenn says, how do you feel on Penske stack? I'm definitely on Penske today. I like Blaney and Keselowski quite a bit. Logano's kind of the third guy I like, but I'm going to have a decent check of Logano because of the price point, and obviously Austin Cindric's Penske as well. So yeah, I like Penske today. Jason says, who has more place differential today, Reddick or Cindric? Definitely Cindric in the very back. I would think that Tyler Reddick probably finishes above Cindric, but again, he's starting 10 spots further back. Wyatt says I'm not playing anything big money-wise for Bristol Dirt. I don't think I will either. I see that now, and I probably end up will, but how do we even play the Bristol Dirt Race? I can't make a spreadsheet. I'm going to have a projection sheet, but I can't make a spreadsheet for it. We have no similar tracks to look at. We have, I can't pull up Bristol numbers. They don't matter, so I'm kind of confused on how I'm even going to do that. So that'll be a fun one. Probably just make it like a laid-back, have fun week. I'm not even sure if I feel qualified to give advice for the Bristol Dirt Race. Rob says, where did you get the 176-ounce glass? My girlfriend got it for me. I don't know. You can hold a lot of water, though. I think she got it on Fanatics? Maybe Fanatics? I'm not sure. But it says Daytona on it. So, pretty cool. Kyle says, I hope Larson goes to the back so his ownership drops. I'll still be on him. I mean, that could be a good thing if he goes to the back, because then his ownership will definitely get reduced. But we saw last week, definitely doesn't matter. He can work his way back up front quick. Well, goodness, Chase, I wish you luck in the CSGO streets there. That's crazy. Paul says, what's the most you have won in NASCAR GPP? I've won the lug nut several times last year, and then I've won the chrome horn before as well. That's the 20 max, which is 20K to first. I was hand building those days. I guess got kind of lucky. I think that was 2 years ago. It was at Bristol, the Bristol Spring Race. I played like Logano, Boyer, Blaney, Ty Dillon. I forget the other guy, maybe Daniel Suarez or Busher or something like that. I don't know. Oh yeah, Julian's still in here. She said Fanatics, yes. Pedro says, Chris, treat the dirt race as a super speed race. That's what I'm thinking, Pedro. I'm thinking just stack the back, because these guys are going to wreck. I feel like maybe besides Kyle Larson, because, you know, Kyle Larson on a dirt track. But besides that, we're probably just going to stack the back for the most part. But I'm not going to be able to make a spreadsheet like I have here, because we have no data to look at. I'll have the car info, the driver info, and I'll have a projections tab. But besides that, I can't really do anything else, unfortunately. Wyatt says it could actually be profitable now that I think about it. It could be. I mean, I feel like the strategy would be to stack the back, but we're going to have to see how the heat races goes and things like that. I forget the exact schedule for it, but we went on the starting lineup till, what, Saturday night? So, I mean, I really can't even do a video because it takes me like 3 hours to record, process, and edit a video. So by that time, it's already the morning. Amanda says she made it. Barely. About to end this, but I'm glad you did make it. Matt says, thanks again for all your great advice. It's much appreciated, man. Thank you, Matt. Appreciate that. Do you think has the highest chance to be a dominator at the lowest price point on DK? The lowest price point, I'd say Alex Bowman. He could be a potential dominator. Rob, does your username have like a loading screen with it? Because right by your name and no one else, it's got like a loading dot. If so, that's kind of funny. But anyway, who's my favorite 3 Doms today? I would say Truex, Kyle Larson, and for the price tag, Ryan Blaney. God says, is Harvick a must-play? He's not. I mean, we all know the numbers at Atlanta are amazing, so it makes him look like a must-play. I don't think he's an absolute must, though, because I would not be surprised if Larson is the better dominator than Harvick today, but I like him. I don't think he's a must-play, though. Dude says dirt tracks are fun to watch. Will be interesting. Yeah, for sure. Definitely going to be pretty interesting. I mean, DFS-wise, I don't know, but entertainment-wise, yeah. It just sucks that they got rid of the Bristol Spring Race because that's one of my favorite races of the year. So I wish they would have got like rid of a Pocono race for this or something. Yeah, you're welcome, guys. Sounds like everyone wants to go. It's been an hour, so probably a good time to hang it up. Amanda says, well, I got back in Patreon too, so it's all good. I saw that. Appreciate that. Thank you for coming back in. Pedro says, Chris, also watch how the truck series goes. Most of the Cup drivers are driving trucks. Even the bad trucks are receiving good drivers since nobody knows how it will go. Yeah, I saw a lot of the drivers or Cup drivers are going to be in the truck race. So I'm definitely making it a plan because I don't usually watch the truck and Xfinity races too much. I'm definitely making it a plan to watch anything I can for next week just to get some experience on how this race could possibly go. So that's something I'm definitely going to be doing next weekend. Tyler Wilson says, Elliott or Truex, single entry GPP. I'll still go Truex there. Elliott's appealing, but I'll go Truex. Blake says, do you know if they'll have DFS? Man, you guys want to play DFS for the heat races now? You guys are crazy. I don't know, though. I have no idea. I'm not going to play them, though, if they are. Jeffrey says, projected finish for Michael McDowell around 20th place. I think my projections probably have him like at 21, 22. A Wright says, your contest full? I don't think it is right now unless people entered. But if you want in, just make sure you comment your DK username. And then I'll be happy to send you that invite. Rob says, don't forget the thumbs up. Yeah, on the way out, don't forget to like the video. Appreciate it. Randall says, please don't take the Pocono race away. Group 10 minutes away and didn't miss a race in 16 years until the pandemic. Okay, sorry I said that, Randall. We'll take away another boring race, so we'll think of another one. We won't get rid of your Pocono races. Alright, guys, I'm going to get out of here. If I didn't answer your question, nothing personal. It's just I got to get out here and build some lineups and eat some lunch. And then I get ready for the Awesemo live stream, which is at 2 p.m. So if you want to follow me over there with myself and Jason Floyd, feel free to do that. We'll be on there for about an hour. And I'll see you guys in the next video. Whoops. Awkward part of ending the stream. Okay. See you guys. Appreciate you listening. And see you in the next one.